So we will start today with the first speaker sharing first about the use of AI in the field of language learning and also creative writing. Our second speaker will come later to share about how the AI technology has been used in society. And so that kind of the topics we would like to cover in our course because they can be useful for you to understand such issues and how they can maybe apply in your assignments in some way, okay? So we might remind you that we will have a short break at around 1 hour later for 20 minutes, okay? So it's a bit different from the normal time schedule. Okay, so we will start with the first speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for Professor Lin to invite me back this semester. It's very thrilling to share those AI tools with you guys, right? Because AI is now in action. So we use a lot of AI tools either in learning or in teaching. So before I'm going to jump into my topic, I want to know if you have any experiences of tutoring or being an English teacher in primary school. If yes, please raise your hand. If you are the English teacher, yes, great. But how many of you using the AI tools in your learning? Please raise your hand. Wonderful. What kind of AI tools that you use? ChatGPT. Anything else? Learning AI. Okay. So you are using those AI tools to generate the teaching materials, or?
Sometimes I just send a link, YouTube link, and it will summarize for me.
I see. So you generate those YouTube video summary, and then you provide it as a teaching material to your students.
Yeah.
So may I know what age of your student that you're teaching?
No, I did it for myself. Not for
I see. Okay. So now we understand that we still having a long way to go in using AI in your learning and teaching. All right. So today my topic is talking about collaborating with AI, not cooperating, because collaborating means like two ways, right? So for today's speech, I hope to guide you how to use these AI tools in learning English and also in teaching. So in TESOL, we understand that teachers is also the student, right? We are learning the way of how to teach and how to understand this linguistic knowledge. So what we'll do today is we'll covering these 5 topics. So we're talking about the conventional way of teaching, and then how you can use the AI in modern time, which is in 2025, even though it's about to the end of 2025. And then we were talking about how you can retell and rewrite the story with using the AI, and what are those AI tools in supporting audio and visual in your teaching materials. And later we're talking about language modification, which is about writing. All right, so in the past, when we are having some literature review, if you jump into the literature review about teaching English, so there are actually 4 teaching styles that is commonly happens in Taiwan. We are not talking just in Taiwan, but also in Asia, of course. So typically when you are in a classroom, most likely in your learning experience, it's usually about teacher-centered classroom, which is like me talking over here, and everybody jot down the notes, and everybody just learning the knowledge, all right? So of course, there are some benefits of this teacher-centered classroom because it really requires the teachers to explain some of the difficult concepts. That's it, for example, when I'm explaining the concept of pragmatics and also the speech act in the classroom. So I need to give some of the examples. Or when I explain the Grice maxims, not sure if you have learned this pragmatic knowledge or not. But when you are understanding the difficult concepts or complex concepts, you as a teacher, or maybe you want the teacher to explain or give you an explicit explanation for you to understand. So it really helps to reduce the learner's confusion in language learning, especially for the young learners. However, it marginalizes the students' active thinking, collaboration, and self-regulations and critical reflection because you only act as a receiver. You receive those knowledge in the classroom where a teacher is only talking, and then you probably have less chances to interact with the teacher unless the teacher asks you a question, right? So most likely in the traditional settings, in what we're talking about the ELT concept, that is, we usually implemented text-based language teaching, which we set a scenario or we set a task where the student know the instructions and then they complete the task along the way. However, it requires the teachers or the pre-teachers, they have to spend a lot of time to prepare a well-structured task for the student to understand. So through this instruction, what should I do? And also through this task, what will I learn? So by implementing those text goals is very important. And also in the past, we're talking about the English teaching. We were talking about is either form focus, is whether focus on forms or focus on form. So typically we will contract it in comparison to the grammar translation method, which is if you are the teacher, you prefer grammar teaching style, or you would like them to have a formative way of teaching where you can adjust along the way where the students can just learn based on their levels. So for the grammar teaching, grammar translation methods over here is like grammar teaching. You only explain those linguistic or what we call the formula, like when you are using the if conditional clause, like if, when you are having a situation which is opposite to the reality where you have to use the past tense, for example, all right? So the benefits, of course, the students can really just notice the grammatical forms. They can just follow those grammatical forms where they can just implement it into their speech or writing. It's very easy. However, the student might probably have no chances or little chances for them to adapt the way of using those grammars in real life, because we remember in our teaching it's usually text-based, right? So where if you are in different scenarios, probably the student do not understand. So in this situation, should I use the if clause or should I use let's say for example, gerunds or other grammar rules, all right? And also for the summative assessment, which is often used in traditional classroom, where the teachers give you an assignment or a task at the end of the class or at the end of the semester, where they test your understanding and the abilities in during the language learning. So, but in systematic review over here in the past studies shows that it probably have some backwash effects, and also the heavy test emphasis probably will reduce your motivation. So some of the language learners in Taiwan, they probably already lack of the motivation and the passion of learning English in the classroom. So that's what we are trying to deal with by using the AI, because we were trying to solve the problems of teacher-centered classroom, and also trying to propose a better text-based language teaching settings. And also we are not just talking about grammar translation methods, and also we don't want to use summative assessments to reduce the students' motivation, confidence, and also reduce their critical thinking skills, all right? So having these kind of questions in my mind, so I go back to the recent research talking about the opposite side, for example, like Learner Center, AI supported classroom, AI enhanced text-based learning, data-driven or corpus assisted, and also those formative teaching styles, where I found that, well, in recent studies after 2020, we truly understand that the power of AI and also the treated AI as the educator in the classroom can be beneficial. That's why, for example, when we are talking about the Learner Center, you can provide the student a more customized, personalized, and also they have more flexibilities to talk to the teachers with. For example, in the past, when you are in a teacher-centered classroom where the teacher is usually talking, right? So rare students are having some responses or the feedbacks, probably because they are, digesting all the knowledges in the classroom, or they are just too afraid to respond. By using the AI in the classroom, those AI chatbots truly can help the students to understand those knowledge without any what we call the fear of teachers, right? And also it's much more flexible because it can just customize. You can customize the chatbots for the student to understand the knowledge. That's for example. Some of the students, they are low achievers, so you can create one of the chatbots that facilitates those low achievers in the classroom. And some of the students, they probably are high achiever. So you understand the achiever, right? So probably, for example, their proficiency level are like C1, C2, they are like high achiever. If they are like A1, A2, CEFR, A1, A2 level, they are low achiever, all right? But of course, the setting, it depends on you, right? It depends on you because sometimes the low achiever can be B1 to B, A2 to B1 or B2 to C1, we call the higher achiever, so it depends. All right, but overall in the past study we're talking about is that by using the AI chatbots, we truly can help the student to having a more flexible and more comfortable way of learning in the classroom or outside classroom. And also those AI chatbots really can give the students very what we call immediate support. Sometimes the teachers are like not assign you in the classroom, or when they are having questions outside classroom, they can use the AI chatbots to ask questions, and then they were having the answer simultaneously. However, the difficulties is that you have to set the prompts. So we understand that, for example, how many students are here that using ChatGPT? Please raise your hand. All right, I mean, probably almost every one of you. Great, great. But what we are understanding is that when you are using the ChatGPT, we are not using ChatGPT as Google search, right? A lot of my students, they are using ChatGPT, even they subscribed the Plus version. But they treated ChatGPT as Google search. What does that mean? That's for example, in the past when you are searching the information on Google, you input the keywords, or you input one of the questions you would like to have the answer, and then you go searching, right? On Google, page 1, typically we don't go to the page 2 or more. We understand that in page 1, that will be the information that we need. However, we have to filter those information ourselves, right? But when in this time, you are using the ChatGPT as you are using the Google search, what kind of answer will you will get? That will be one of the answers in page 1. That means you have to understand whether the information is correct or wrong. Because in the past, in Google search, you have like 10 results in page 1, for example. Then you can understand that you have to go over those 10 results, then you understand which one is correct. Nowadays, you are using ChatGPT as you are using the Google search. You probably just get one answer. You don't have a chance to understand whether this information or this answer is correct or wrong. So you have to give out more questions. justify or to understand whether this kind of answers is correct or wrong. So the prompting in ChatGPT is also very important, where we're talking about the next step, which is setting the chatbot. The prompting is also very important. So today we're going to teach you how you can use those prompts to create your own personal chatbots in ChatGPT, for example. So prompting, we understand, is very important because it will be more targeting on your needs, all right? For the data-driven and corpus-assisted, I'm not sure whether you guys are familiar with corpus. Have you ever heard corpus? No. Okay. Today we will go through some of the corpus section, where helping you understand in the past, if we don't have ChatGPT, how do we search those keywords and how do you modify those wordings? All right. But by using the data-driven and corpus-assisted learnings, we truly can help the student to improve both their speaking and writing, because most of the corpus genres are about speaking and writing, right? And then and later over here, because in the past we were talking about the summative assessments where there's no chance for the teachers to adjust their learning goals or to adjust their learning process, so that the student will just face the final outcome, which is the summative assessment, which means they will have a final exam, for example, and then they just having the test to help the student to help the teachers to understand their the course knowledge. But for the summative with the AI support formative assessments or the feedbacks, what we call feedbacks or adaptive test, it helps the teachers to understand how we can, adjust the course and also how to adjust our course schedule while we are teaching. It's not like we have already having the, for example, like week 1 we're going to learn this, week 2 we're going to learn this. For my classroom, not in university level, but for the high school level, I usually use the formative way to teach is because sometimes you will encounter different difficulties sometimes you will encounter one of the situations that is the student didn't do this or didn't do that, or they probably have already learned this kind of linguistic knowledge or the language, so you probably want to move further faster and faster. So with using the formative AI supported or what we call AI integrated assessments can truly help the teachers to understand the students' level while they are teaching. So they can just, moving faster and faster. Not what we call in Taiwan, where you are teaching in high school, you typically will have like 赶进度, right? So we will have like, oh, this time we have to learn this, and then we have finished all of this in one class. It will be too difficult for the teachers, or not just the student having a lot of pressure, but the teachers also have a lot of pressure in finishing the class, not teaching the class. All right. So understanding there are some benefits of using AI in our classroom. So I want to go down to a level where to help you understand how to use these AI tools in this class, all right, in this class. So we are starting at collecting the reading materials, because sometimes probably you guys have already had some of the materials, the story materials, all right? So you probably like Aesop fables or the short stories, American short stories or British short stories, but you do have some reading materials, and how can you use those reading materials to recreate your own story? So let's jump into the part where how do we rewrite or what we call retell the story in a way in this AI era. So some of you, just like what I say, using the ChatGPT as a Google search, right? But many of you forget the part where you have to set the prompts. You have to set the prompts of in a way, in a conversation where ChatGPT have to follow your prompts, right? So you probably have a setting like the role settings, and then you have a quotational mark. When using the ChatGPT or like Copilot or the Google Gemini, when you're using all these AI tools, we understand that we have to set a rule, right? Many of you probably have already learned that you have to set a rule, the tone, and also probably when you are teaching the students, you have to set the age, right? Or the proficiency level. For example, like I want to teach college level students, second year. Their age is from 18 to 22. Their English proficiency level is from CFR, for example, B1 to B2 level, all right, or C2 level. And then you will set the goal, right? You will set the goal. You have this kind of patterns, all right? But you within only in the conversation, right? Sometimes you want to build a project in the ChatGPT, for example. Like in this class, I want to retell the story. So I want to generate a project specifically talking about the story and retell the story, rewrite the story, all right? So what can you do by using the prompts? So over here you can, I use the Chinese because sometimes many of my students say in English, if the prompts, the rule prompts is in English, I kind of have no idea if my keywords are correct. So you can start from Chinese, all right? And then you later translate into English, is also fine, all right? So we have the role prompts over here, the experts. So it's good as something, for example, like talking about the fairy tales, Aesop fables, short stories, and he is probably an English teacher or English teaching expert. So you have a rule over here. And the student's level, English level, will be from CFR B1 to B2 level, or it depends on your student's English level. For example, you can set to A1 to A2 level. In the past, I saw some of the teachers will say like they are like elementary level students. It doesn't work. Because we understand that even though they are elementary school students, some of the students have already passed the high intermediate level of GPT, probably. You agree? 他们有可能已经通过了 GPT 中高级，他可能国小6年级嘛 right? So they just pass. So when you are setting the elementary level student, the ChatGPT doesn't know, all right? So you have to set the CFR, at least the ChatGPT understand. Or when you are using different GPT, for example, like Google Gemini or Copilot. But for today, I will use mainly ChatGPT because when you are talking about English teaching or when you are talking about research, there's only 2 to 3 AI tools that are really useful. That will be ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and also the Cloud AI. All right. So these 3 AI tools are typically used either in teaching or in research. Okay. And also you have to set the age, because sometimes when we're talking about the age of student is also matter, because some of the teachers that will say set the language levels. For example, we set the language level into CFR B1 to B2 level, but that's for students. But when they are generating, when the ChatGPT generating those texts, it probably beyond C2, for example, or beyond C1, for example. So you also have to set the age and also the teacher's English proficiency level. Probably the teachers are native speakers, so you probably also have to set this the teacher's role in the prompts. All right. But for here, I just using some of the easier one over here. Then when you go into the ChatGPT, then you will see that I want the prompts like this. And when you input the prompts, it can generate the prompts in more details, all right, in the details. For this part is to help you to set a more clear and concise prompts that suits your needs. That means the prompts over here are various when you are using different prompts over here. So typically when you are input the prompts over here in ChatGPT, they will generate like the field, the students' features, and also the tones, for example. Then you can adjust the prompts over here, and then to see if that suits your needs. Once it's done, then you can copy these prompts to another conversation. When you're using ChatGPT to generate one thing in a conversation, you want to copy the information over here and to create another conversation. Because in the conversation, they will just follow your prompts. But if in the beginning, your prompts is like this, about the experts, about the rules, then they will just follow your prompts and then to generate the text in a conversation, not the conversation. Because sometimes when you are, for example, you have already input this conversation over here, the prompts, and they will generate this information over here about the rule prompts. Then they will just generate it something talking about the prompts over here to adjust or to modify your expert rule prompts, all right? So after you generated these prompts, then we can go through, for example. Let's say, for example, we have already created the prompts over here. Then you can go to the conversation, all right? You can go to the conversation and copy paste over here. And then you will generate the text. So after the ChatGPT received your prompts, then you can just, having some contents or having some story retelling over here. But sometimes, if you're just like me, I will create a project. Let's say, for example, create a project like storytelling. All right? When you are creating the project over here. All right, we have the project. If you're paying the plus version, you will have the ability to create a project, all right? So when you're creating the project, typically, most of the students, they will just start to chat with ChatGPT, right? Because under the same project, you will have all the conversation related to this project, right? However, they forget there is a dot over here. You can insert the new prompts like this. So you can ask the ChatGPT to focus on a theme or a format or the tones over here. So when you are using the prompts over here, save it. So under this project, the ChatGPT understands that this is for storytelling projects. So whenever you are inputting the story, that's for example, the Little Three Pigs. That's my favorite story. So when you are inputting the story of Little Three Pigs, and then you say you want to retell the story, and then the ChatGPT over here will understand the task, all right? As a teacher, we understand in the conventional way, you have to set the task goal, right? Task goal. So over here, you have already set a task goal for the ChatGPT. So ChatGPT understands what kind of materials that he has to generate. I use he or she, it doesn't matter, all right? So it will understand, all right? And after that, you can just having these prompts along the way in this conversation. But if you want to go further, you can just go to personalize over here. and then you can set the prompts about the tone, and also the rule, and also the other settings over here. That's for example. I input the prompts over here, and this should be English teaching expert over here, and then my prompts will be like talkative, smart, Gen Z, for example, and I save it. So whenever I having a conversation with this ChatGPT, it will having this tone over here. But when you are adjusting the ChatGPT over here, that will be from the personalized. All the conversation in your ChatGPT, it doesn't matter if it's in the project or not in the project, they will just follow these prompts. So I would just recommend that you can try it, all right? But if you can create another project, and under the project, you input the prompts that is specifically for your project, and that will be better, all right? I think I have to go faster over here. Let me skip this part. So let's say, for example, what kind of information that you have to be careful. That will be, you have to set the goal, the role, the settings like age, tone, and also the students or teachers' proficiency level, all right? So it's like you are creating a task-based instruction for you and for the student. So you really have to think about the task, the goal of the task. So after setting the prompts, all right? After setting the prompts, let's say, for example, I want to retell the story of the three little pigs. And please set the time in 2025 with three brothers working in the AI developing company. They have totally different perspective on the use of AI in English education. Please write 600 words. Nowadays, we're talking about the use of AI. In the past, when you are setting the wordings, the number of the wordings, it doesn't matter. Because when you are saying, okay, write me 600 words, it will just give you 1,000 or 300 probably. But nowadays, it's approximately 600, all right? Approximately. So when you go into the conversation, for example, like you copy paste over here, all right? So when you're typing like, I want to retell the story, blah, 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 and then it will just generate the story under your prompts because you have already set the prompts over here. All right? If you have the, if you want to generate your own prompts, you can do it yourself now or later after class. All right. So in the conversation over here, let me show you. So after you generated conversation, oh, it's broken. All right. Too bad. I'm not sure if I can make it faster. But after you input these prompts over here, you can just generate the retail story in the ChatGPT conversation. And then you can adjust those plots. That's for example, sometimes we want the climax of the story. We want to change it. You can input some of the further prompts to ask the ChatGPT to adjust those plots, all right? All right, I think, let me jump into this part. Or sometimes you can just using the chatbots, for example. This is one of the chatbots I used. It's developed by National Central University. They have the computer science department where the teachers already help you to set the chatbots. So the teachers do not have to learn coding. They just input the task. For example, you can set the agent information talking about you are the teacher, you are the student, or what kind of roles that you are over here to facilitate students in the classroom or outside classroom. And then you set a learning topic. For example, in the past, I'm talking about the debating. I teach students how to debate, for example, or how to make the arguments. So I will set the arguments, and also the agent English can be English or Chinese. Since we're in English teaching scenario, so we usually set English as our language. And over here we have the agent text goals. Remember we just set our goals, right? The prompts, the experts. So you can just input over here, and you can set the tone, also the rules or the student's age, for example. So you can say, for example, I'm doing the insurance because I want to help the student understand how to reject those agents that are selling the insurance, all right? Because we want to learn the speech act in rejection. So you say, hello, I'm Miss Chen, because in most of the scenarios, I want to say that the agents are female. So I'm Miss Chen, your insurance assistant. My goal is to help you see why buying insurance is one of the most important steps. So the student will have to play the parts in which they don't want to buy the insurance, to make the arguments why I don't want to buy the insurance. So they have to make some pragmatic strategies, for example. So you have to know the goal, your text goal over here. And then you can have the learning topic like talking about one of the, let's say for example, buying the health insurance, buy the life insurance, for example. And the description over here, for example, you can set it like what kind of goal that you have to achieve during this topic, during the discussion in this topic, all right? And then you save the task, then the chatbot will just implement it, or just using your description over here to conduct the conversation. And then you will see, for example, in the past, I said like introduction. So we will have like greetings, like in the beginning, when you're seeing someone, you have say hello, hi, or how are you, how's the weather, for example, and then you identify the needs or the present the solutions, highlight the benefits, call to action. So over here, you have a different task that you want the chatbot to implement those tasks. But why introducing this chatbot is because we want to understand, after you generated those reading materials, how well the student understand the materials. Sometimes in the classroom, in the traditional classroom, we will ask, do you understand? Any questions? Okay, right? Some of the teachers were like this, right? Then you will of course say, yes, right? Yes, or just remain silent. But for this one, when you're using the chatbot, then you can understand the students' understanding and also their learning process. So through this, they can just understand that, so what kind of strategies that they have already learned. For example, in the classroom, I teach the speech act, for example, and I want them to have using those strategies. So I will understand, so from these strategies, they have already used over here, did they match to my teaching, or if not, what kind of things that I can do in my classroom, for example. And also similar to the retell the story, because you will try to understand if the story matches to your needs, or do the student really understand your story, all right? So over here is like you're facilitating a text-based teaching style over here, but in the AI-supported classroom. Then you use the formative assessment, which is not the traditional way of like multiple choices, fill in the blank, but using those open-ended questions or the prompts for the student to understand the reading materials, like you retell the story, all right? And then you can adjust the teaching materials along the way of your teaching. The next one will be Notebook LM. Notebook LM is like the most common things that most of the college students, as I believe, but I'm not sure, they know. So when you open the Notebook LM, you understand that you can create a new books, the notebooks over here. That's for example, 2 weeks ago, I have learned the application of AI and SPSS all together. How do they work? All right. So I create the title of the notebook over here, or some of the research I did, like discourse markers, like okay, yeah, you know, well, like this. So I want to know about this. But for you guys, for inputting those materials, you can input those like those Aesop fables or the fairy tales input into the notebook. And from this part, you can just have all the materials over here, and they will generate a summary of all your materials over here, and then you can create the audio overview, video overview, or mind map results, or flashcards, or quiz. For the teachers over here, you want to have the audio overview because sometimes using the audios are more interesting in the classroom because just listening to the teachers talking blah 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 kind of feel very sleepy, right? But over here for the audio overview and the video overview over here, you can stimulate students' learning experience like having the audio support or the visual ad. For the audio overview, you can generate the podcast over here. So you probably would like yourself as a teacher to see if you can have, if you have an overview of those stories, what kind of story retelling plots that you can use. For example, I want to talk about the mermaids, also the a Beowulf, for example, or the Three Little Pigs, for example. I want to know the common structure of the plots in their story. Then I can use this to generate some of the ideas about how to retell the story.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we dig into the research you share to pull out those key knowledge nuggets. Today we're looking at something maybe a bit different, not a grand global strategy.
So over here, when you are generating the audio overview, you are just having this conversation. You can have one person or two persons talking. And of course, there's one function that is you can have a call-in function where you can ask the question. And then they will just answer the question for you, all right? Or as a teacher, you want to generate the teaching materials, like you already have the story retelling structure, and then you want to generate those stories. You can have the video support, which is the presentation over here. So from this part, when you are clicking video overview, then you will having this. Sorry, you have this. You have this presentation over here. Yes, it's a video. So over here, you can see that they have page 1, page 2, and along the way to discuss, for example, the unsung heroes of the talk, or in your case, you can have the story retelling materials over here. So you will have the visual ads over here, okay? So that tell you like, can you believe how many times she say live, for example, and then you will having the story go on and on over here. So you can already have visual ads over here. How to tell the story and the storyline, all right? So by using the Notebook LM, it helps you to generate those materials quickly, and also you can rethink about the structure of those plots in a way. Unlike the ChatGPT, they have already generated for you. Probably you just copy paste. I don't know. But with the use of Notebook LM, now we're talking about you have to control the structure and also the plots of your story retelling. When you are retelling the story, okay. Some of the other supports is like you don't know where to find the teaching materials. Like for example, Cool English is developed by National Normal University Professor Chen, Zhen Haolan 老师. Okay, Professor Chen has already developed the Cool English where you can searching for the course area where you have the students' English levels, also the teaching materials and also reading materials. I mean, all the 4 skills, those materials, teaching materials of the 4 skills, which is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. All the materials are on the Cool English platform. So you can just go to the reading materials, for example, and then select those materials that you think is important for your storytelling, and then you input into the Notebook LM, and then you understand the structure of all those stories, and then you can generate your own structure of your story, all right? because of the time, I won't guide you into this platform. So the benefits of using the Cool English over here is that you can search those teaching materials, so those reading materials as well. Because sometimes we don't know what kind of story structure or the level of the English that we are going to use in our story, right? So these are the very good resources that you can use. Because we're talking about more narrowing down the way of our AI generation in retelling stories, all right? So from this AI, Novel AI, it helps you to generate the plots. Okay, so the plots over here is like, you can generate through one prompt or one sentence, and then you can continue the conversation, all right? But the generation over here is like, you have one sentence, okay? Then the platform asks you to generate one more sentence to continue. So you are just like collaborating with AI. So that's it, for example, ChatGPT just generated the whole plots for you, the whole storytelling for you, right? But for the Novel AI, you can have the storytelling or the text adventure. So usually I will recommend the student to use the text adventure because, for example, they already have a beginning of the story, and then you just input the information over here. You want the plots to go to somewhere that you think is important or critical. Then you can just input over here, then the story just going on and on, all right? It's like you are collaborating with AI to talking about this story, okay? To retell the story. So you can control the plots. Similar functions to the AI Dungeon, okay? Similar to the AI Dungeon. It's also one of the way that you can collaborate with the AI to generate the stories yourself. Let's say, for example, my favorite story, the Three Little Pigs, all right? So I just input, like, I choose the story, like which kind, and then I go through, I want to generate it. Let's say, for example, I want to generate the story about the Three Little Pigs in AI era, and then they are working in the AI developing company, and then I want to talking about blah blah blah, and then I just input the prompts. So the examples I show over here is like the prompts is very similar, or you can just input the same prompts from the ChatGPT to the AI Dungeons, and then you can have like the storytelling beginning over here. You can have the action, you can say something, you can do something over here. Because sometimes when we are having a story retelling, right? So we want to know the action or what the person say, for example. Then you can generate like do something, like I do not open the door for him. And then you can generate the text over here. Then the actions over here is talking about you do not open the door for him, so you generated this, all right? So you can understand that you can control the plots along the way. But of course, the language over here you have to modify because sometimes it's too difficult for the student to understand. Okay, this is for AI Dungeon. So for both of the Novel AI and AI Dungeon, it's like you are using the keywords or the prompts to generate the story retelling plots where you can, control your own story instead of like ChatGPT to generate the whole plots, and then you probably just have to go through everything. Okay. Rewardified, and also the lingo over here is like you want to change the words. Rewardified is like the word is too difficult, for example, like death, or and then you want to die, for example. You want to change the words, okay, or the phrases. You can use the Rewardify and to see the frequency, and also over here, then you can understand that. So, do I need to change the words, or do I need to change the phrases, and to make it more understandable? And also for the Lingo Read, it's also one of the platform where you can input the materials over here, and then we have A, B, C, C++, it means from the CEFR. So you can understand that, for example, you paste one of the text over here and you click A over here, they will just mark the language used over here, the vocabulary, which vocabulary are in level A, for example, CEFR level A. And then some of them are probably C+, for example, like C2 level. Then you want to replace the words over here to make sure the student understand those words correctly. So you can say, like, for example, my students are from B1 to B2 level, and then I can click to C and to C+ to change the words to B2 level or the B1 level. So I want to make sure that the text is easier for the student to understand, all right? So for the Rewordify and Lingory is actually allows the users, which is the teachers, to rewrite or rephrase the sentences, because sometimes while you are using the ChatGPT to generate those stories, you want to change some of the words to make sure that the students or you guys understand the plots more easily and comfortably, right? Audio supports, you can use like Natural Reader. Not sure if you are familiar with this platform. For the Natural Reader, you can just having some, you can just get started, the personal, you don't have to pay for it, but you can have a different sound.
Dear team, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to remind...
I can't believe we actually did it.
Dear team, I hope this email finds you...
So over here you have different voices, right? So you can input the text over here and to generate the voices, because while you are generating the audio, the visual support, which is the presentation, or you have generated some of the animations over here, but you lack of the voice, right? Some of you probably will just play the role yourself, like, you know, using your own voice. Sometimes it can be very awkward. I mean, for me, right? I'm kind of iron, right? So I don't want to use my own voice, so I'll use this one, all right? So you have many different choices over here for your voice audio support. And some of the other, if you don't want to pay for it, in Cool English, they also help you to generate the text to speech. For example, like text to speech supported by Microsoft. And also the immersive reader. Have you ever used the OneNote in Microsoft? No? Okay. So this immersive reader is kind of like the Microsoft OneNote software, where you can just having the immersive reader, and then you can generate the sound. Okay. And also it can change the voices, like British accent, American accent, female, male. All right. So, but for the produced content, well, we're talking about rewriting the story. The two chatbots over here developed by Cool English, they also help you to having some thoughts about rewriting the story. So you can give it a try, all right? I think I don't have a lot of time over here, but you can just go through it, okay? Visual.S is very easy. You can search on the internet like Pictory. They can generate the videos and also the pictures. Sora is one of the most popular video generated platform. So you can just using the Sora to generate the animations or the videos. However, some of the results are not satisfied. So you have to use the right prompts. Again, knowing how to write right prompts is very difficult. So you have to understand what you need and then, you know, create those prompts carefully. But if you do not know what kind of prompts is more perfect for your needs, you can just input the prompts into ChatGPT to ask the ChatGPT to help you to modify the prompts to your needs. Okay. So that's it for example. I generated the Three Brothers and the Age of Era about the rewriting story about the Three Little Pigs. and then you can generate it, the videos. All right, it's a bit longer. Okay, so you will have like the first brother talking about this, and then you can have the next brother talking about what, and then you can generate the animations over here. And with the audio support by using the natural reader or the cool English text to speech, and then you will have the full story. Okay. But for the Sora, you can only generate it like 5 seconds, so you have to piece together about all these videos, the clips. So that's for example, another clips, the second brother is talking about this, and then you can adjust it. Okay. Pixels is also one of the free video generating platform where you can search for those free pictures and also the videos. All right, but you need to quote where you get it. And also for the free picked is about the animation, special effects, or the some of the cartoons like pictures that this is a place where you can find all those materials. And they also have the video generator where you can generate the video, but most likely they are animation, which is about cartoons. All right. I think I don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but as I believe, Professor Lin has already uploaded this to the your course. I already step by step to tell you about how to use the corpus and also the vocabulary searching in ChatGPT over here. But something you want to avoid is that the words frequently used by AI. The reason Star is talking about all these words are frequently used by AI, so you want to be careful when you're using those words. Sometimes the students give me some of the assignments talking about Forster. I'm like, do you know how to use Forsters in your writing? Or do you know that Forster is the common verbs that is frequently used by AI? So in the past, the researchers over here talking about these AI generated phrases are torture phrases. Probably in the future when you are using the ChatGPT, you want to avoid these words like 12, realm, underscore, significant, crucially, effectively, and so on and so on. All right. And for the paraphrasing, you of course you can say Grammarly. Okay, they have you can search for as a reviewer to talking about whether your story are good or bad, and you have the AI grader to understand how you write about this story. All right. And for the Quillbot, similar functions as Grammarly, but you have to pay for it. Most likely, most of the functions you have to pay for it. Okay. So they have the paraphrasing tool, plagiarism, AI humanizer, grammar checker, AI detector, and AI chat. Typically, most of the paraphrasing or grammar checking tools that you know or you knew are using the AI supported, but it depends on which AI model they use. For example, some of the old version AI models are frequently used, like ChatGPT 3. They are frequently used by many AI tools, so you have to be careful. So most likely when you're using these AI tools, you want to using the same prompts and input those prompts into different AI tools to make sure that you have generated the structures or the story that suits your needs, because you can just cross over to overview all those contents or the story. All right. Okay, so that's pretty much my introduction about this, but I understand that 1 hour is not enough for talking about this one. If you have any questions, you can, overview this presentation and to see if you have any further questions, all right? And thank you for Professor Lin to invite me, and these are all the references. Thank you.